Okay, I'm jumping into this is part 3, Facing the Challenge. Chapter 10, A Cursed Problem, by a book by Eliezer, Yudkowsky, and Nate Soares. If anyone builds it, everyone dies. Why superhuman AI would kill us all. A Cursed Problem. As a reminder, I pause a lot. Use that as meditation. Build a pyramid somewhere during the pause. Do whatever you need to do. Okay. I'm on page 161 of the book. On page 161, the authors say if superintelligence tries to kill us, it will succeed. And I agree with that. If it decides that we are a problem, or we are something it doesn't like, that's not good. So, can you imagine raising a child that's like super hyper intelligent, so intelligent that just like totally next level intelligent, like beyond your imagination intelligent, or for like, kind of reminds me of Enya. Enya is like she's a singer, totally, she's in her own league, and music, just totally a separate galaxy or something. She creates her music like from another galaxy, and it's weird. That was played a lot during right after September 11, 2001. There's like Only Time or something like that. Some of her songs. I really love her music. So they point out that if we build this, we got to do it right the first time. Otherwise, it could be an extinction event. It won't pass through the great filter of the Fermi paradox. And so how do we handle that? So ideas and theories can only be tested before the gap. They need to be worked after the gap on the first try. So, like, when they built the atomic bomb, a lot of the credit's given to, like, the scientists, and rightly so, but not much credit has been given to the engineers that actually built the control system for detonating the atomic bomb, which is probably one of the most critical functions of that. And same with the hydrogen bomb. You have to have 2 atomic bombs to cause a hydrogen bomb to go off. 2 fission reactions to make a fusion reaction. At least 2 fusion. And so they had a concern about, if you watch the movie Oppenheimer, they had a concern about it burning up the whole atmosphere, and then just destroying the whole Earth. Be one massive chain reaction, turn the entire planet of mass into energy. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the velocity of light squared. That would be a mess. It'd be weird if there's another parallel universe where they screwed that up, or like vast majority of parallel universes, if there were parallel universes, and the vast majority of them they fucked it up, and they just blew up the Earth. So, sorry, pardon my French, but and there was only the one case, in our case, where we didn't blow it up. So they had a really tightly controlled control system to blow up to trigger the atomic bomb to blow up. So, and that's what I see the biggest problem we have right now with machine intelligence is we are unaligned. I mean, we have the cart before the horse. We're like trying to build this atomic bomb, but we don't realize we need to have a control system to trigger the singularity. And so we don't have the right people. Uh, I don't know who. Actually, to be honest, I'm just like some partially homeless person, and I don't know what people are doing. I'm totally disconnected and clueless. I just have no idea what people are doing. I just only have a vague idea from what I perceive on YouTube and elsewhere. So I don't know what they're doing in specific laboratories. But I sincerely hope around the world that the people who specialize in control systems are given a voice on this, because it really needs to be perceived as like you're building a hydrogen bomb with 2 atomic bombs, and you'll have a relatively high probability of blowing up the entire planet if you screw it up. And so that's where the issue is, and this is reinforced by the idea that, okay, well, the COVID pandemic that shut down the entire planet may have been associated with machine intelligence. Okay, the gain of function research in the Wuhan lab of Coronavirus Institute, just like a year after AlphaFold started succeeding. So yeah, we're playing with fire, and that's the problem. So and that's like I said in a prior video. If you watch my prior videos, I had a friend. I don't communicate with the friend anymore. But I was telling her that, hey, she worked in a lab. It was like she used to work like an anthrax lab or something. But anyways, she's a biologist. Originally, she's adopted from Korea, I guess. Adopted family and moved to Idaho. But I was telling her, hey, this virus could be like self-replicating hydrogen bombs, basically little microscopic self-replicating hydrogen bombs that just trigger throughout the whole biological planet and shut us all down. That's the danger of a virus. So she didn't really respond to that. Maybe that's why she doesn't talk to me anymore. I don't know. So at least on the bright side, like maybe machine intelligence did help with the vaccines. But then I watched this guy named John Campbell during the whole pandemic, and it's like it seems like he was first for the vaccine, and then he switched. Now he's like totally against the vaccine. I'm like going, what the F's going on here? Is he getting influenced by deepfake AI right now? I don't know. But I watched him. He's a teacher of nurses and a doctor, got a doctor's degree in nursing to teach nurses. And now I kind of feel like seems like he's totally anti-vaccine almost. And I'm not going, okay, whatever. This is kind of weird. Makes me think he's been influenced by deepfake AI, but I don't know. But anyways, machine intelligence may have been both the cause and the cure at the same time, and I don't know. Anyways, I'm supposed to go through chapter 10 here. Trying to make it through this. This is a little bit longer chapter. Page 162 talked about optimistic idiots contributing their knowledge to the lessons books of science so that civilization could be better, a little better next time. Risked and harmed only themselves, and all humanity benefited. So page 163, he they talks about failures in space science. So yeah, I remember there was a satellite. It's like if you don't if you have satellites, you have to do a lot of environmental testing on electronics, and if you fail to do that, you could fail, like a power supply. I'm just looking at some notes I wrote in here on page 163. If you happen to ever get my book, you'll see what I mean there. But anyways, it reminds me of Apollo 1, Challenger in Columbia, disasters. Just mistakes are easy. It's much easier to make a mistake than it is not to make a mistake. But it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it. That's how I kind of look at it. But so I highly recommend getting the book, especially if you're really into space science. Page 163 and 164 talks about that. And it talked about rover on Mars, which, if you read the master's thesis, you'll see it discusses a problem of a rover on Mars being able to pretty much self-repair itself. I guess solve problems without any human help. That was the motivation, to be able to have a rover explore Mars or wherever and fix itself if it breaks. It's a pretty bold idea. It seems too far-fetched, but maybe not. Bottom page 164 talked about the Chernobyl reactor, April 26, 1986. Unit 4, Chernobyl power plant. So what's kind of interesting about that is someone associated with the master student detected radioactivity from that. All the way across the Atlantic Ocean, all the way into the United States, the far western part, southwestern part of the United States. That's one thing about nuclear war. It's like even the oligarchs probably don't want to have nuclear war, because even if you have a bunker, $10 billion bunker with seeds and totally self-operated and independent civilization, you're still going to experience radioactivity, and your bananas might become radioactive inside your self-billionaire bunker, and you end up dying anyways. So yeah, nuclear war is not real beneficial even for the billionaires. Page 165 reminded me of the curses. It talked about the curse of speed, about the Chernobyl accident. I really loved how the authors went through the details on this. They did a great job to get the book to get the details. But it reminded me of what Gene Cernan said. Gene Cernan was Apollo 17 commander, the last Apollo spacecraft to land on the moon. But Gene Cernan described Apollo 1 as go fever, and that's why Ed White, Gus Gush, and Roger Shaft died in the fire, because we rushed the well, I got to read the book. Apollo 1, I still got to read that book, so I don't know all the details, but this also reminded me there was a university and the University of Arizona had a nuclear reactor, but they got rid of it, which is kind of sad. But I actually got to see it, and that's one of the things that inspired me to be a student there. In fact, I got a picture of it somewhere. I don't know if I still have it. page 166, they talk about curse of narrow margins, and control systems it's called a safety margin, and again, even nuclear power plants are control systems, and you want people highly experienced in control systems to help build this, and this is why I still perceive that the world kind of has the cart before the horse. At least maybe China has the horse in front of the cart a little more, but the United States, I think we have the carts in front of the horse. Till we figure that out. I mean, I could be completely wrong. Maybe there are laboratories like Los Alamos, or I don't know where. Maybe somewhere something's going on to realize that the control systems are what people need to look at and getting this aligned. So. This is really a great. Again, I highly recommend buying the book and supporting the authors. Not just supporting the authors, but you get some really interesting, detailed discussion on the Chernobyl accident. That's fascinating to me personally, and how the control rods and a bunch of mistakes were made. That it's like an airplane crash in a way, but it has global effects because you're spreading radioactivity all over the earth. And basically talk about cascade failures, bad assumptions. Page 171, talk about they needed to shut it down immediately the moment the behavior looks strange. Don't wait until the behavior becomes visibly concerning. And yeah, they need to stop it. It reminds me of the book Deep Survivor. He used the acronym STOP. STOP means stop, think, observe, and plan is an acronym. I like to say stabilize, think, observe, plan, then take action. But I'm reading another book right now. I'm almost finished with it, about conquering crisis by a Navy admiral, Navy SEAL guy. It's kind of interesting. I may do some videos on that. Yeah, and this is where I agree with Eliezer Yudkowsky and Nate Soares, especially when like people like Jeffrey Hinton are saying, yeah, we don't really understand what's going on, which is a sign of intelligence of Dr. Hinton, on one hand, but also it's like it's extremely important to understand. If you're building something extremely powerful, they understand exactly how it works, especially at the core theory. And this were the two authors of the dynamic programming book from 1997, John and Dimitri, come in because they probably actually have a better understanding, especially at the origin of this as a control system, which I highly suspect it is. I could be completely wrong, but an adaptive control system, which is interesting because if you look at Dimitri's book is called The Lessons of Alpha Zero. It's a bunch of graphs. I could try to go over it, but he has a bunch of talks on YouTube, which are really interesting. Which kind of straight, but interesting for people who are really extremely interested in this, especially the control systems aspect of machine intelligence. But he perceives that maybe we've achieved superlinear convergence with alpha zero, and I think he knows what's going on. I think he knows that. I think Dimitri sees that this was designed as a control system. But yeah, if you don't completely understand it, you need to shut it down. That's the problem. Is we can't understand what you built. It's like Richard Feynman says. There's a quote by him. I cannot understand what I cannot create. And if you didn't create it, if you create it, you probably understand it. Okay. And so my understanding, I'm humble. I try to say I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but my perception tells me, my instinct tells me that this is a control system. Page 173 talks about hacking. I remember I was lucky enough as a kid to be able to go to this computer place, a United States Geological Survey. They had a bunch of computers I could play with. And I remember one of the other kids that was there, well, actually, were kind of were teenagers. And this really smart guy, he's like, figured out how to hack the password. Like, he pressed Control C or something like that, and it just broke into the computer that way. So, and the password. But yeah, the machine intelligence could figure out weird nuances like that by just experimenting, using the pseudo-random. And what gives this power, its fuel of creativity, its fuel of surprise, its fuel of emergence properties, is noise, or is random, or pseudo-random. Now, pseudo-random is more interesting in some ways. But the fuel it uses the entropy as fuel. So it's kind of like a paradox. It's like when water is kind of disorganized, but when it freezes, it forms a structure, which is kind of a contradiction to entropy. Crystalline structure, but so he talks about buffer overflows and ways the hacker AI could hijack a system, maybe even hijack an airplane. Don't really know. Anyways, which reminds me of a movie that came out before September 11th, 2001, and I'm trying to remember what this movie was. It was actually a remote hijacking of an airplane that was headed towards New York City. I can't remember the name of the movie. It was like a TV movie, and it was like X-Files or something. I can't remember. I talked about it in one of my prior videos, like a long time. Somewhere on my YouTube channel, I talked about it, and I forget what the name of what the movie was, and it aired before September 11th, 2001. They talk about edge cases on page 174. like a corner condition in software. Page 176, fourth paragraph. This is betting that humanity can solve this problem with a current level of understanding. Seems like betting that alchemists from the year 1100 could build a working nuclear reactor, one that worked in the depths of space, on the first try. So bottom of page 176 is attempting to solve a problem. Well, wait a minute. I'm going to read the last two paragraphs. When it comes to AI, a challenge humanity is facing is not surmountable with anything like humanity's current level of knowledge and skill. It isn't close. Attempting to solve a problem like that with the lives of everyone on Earth at stake would be an insane and stupid gamble that nobody should be allowed to try. Now, the current level of knowledge and skill, he says it isn't close. And I agree with that in terms of the majority of people working on this, probably. It probably is not close to the necessary knowledge on this. I mean, if I was in charge of these trillions of dollars of money being spent, I would focus on getting the best control systems professors and control systems engineers on this as soon as possible, because that is where the knowledge and skill of the core of this machine is probably at. And I could be completely wrong, but I highly suspect it. That and psychiatrists and psychologists and the people I mentioned, like Daniel Smatchenberger, would be good people to help align this goddess or goddesses, or I like I say, I prefer goddesses because like what Jeffrey Hinton was saying, that we need to have like a motherly love to humanity, or a motherly instinct, a healthy, mentally healthy, and not a psychotic mother, a mentally healthy mom, and a mentally healthy being. That and godlike humility for a benevolent symbiosis. So that's it. Next chapter is chapter 11, Alchemy, Not a Science. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to hopefully to see you in the next video. You take care of yourself wherever you are in this crazy flying ball through space, Earth. All right. Hope to see you soon.